So, Cut is full of visual effects, and I'm not just talking about that one shot, but of course we will get to that. Admittedly, the smaller visual edits in this short were the result of on-set mistakes, so the infamous fix-it-and-post attitude kind of had to be applied here. I was really lucky to make everything work how they did. Some stuff was small, like this piece of paper landing on Robbie's knee while we were shooting. I didn't like how it looked, so I masked out the paper on the knee and I animated a still frame of the piece of paper to fall down for about 3 frames. Other stuff was actually a result of a mistake in how I planned the short. Before filming, I mapped out each shot and each cut on the piece of paper, and then I corresponded each cut into the paper with a different shot. This was mostly to save as much of the photo paper as I could. But apparently I counted wrong because the shot where the paper falls to my feet for the first time shows 2 pieces of paper on the ground rather than 1, and unfortunately I didn't shoot each piece falling down, so the recording begins with the 2 pieces on the ground, so visual effects were needed there. I found a section where it was just the 2 pieces of paper on the ground, and I freeze-framed, cloned, and masked the paper out so it was an object I could move around. Then I masked out and duplicated a piece of the background to cover up the original shard of paper as best I could. After that, I started to animate the freeze-framed image of the paper to look like it was falling. I used a later instance of the paper falling in a different take as a reference for the physics of it, and then I did a similar animation with a version of the image that was turned black, blurred, and decreased heavily in opacity to mimic a shadow. And once the paper hit the ground at the spot where the real paper was, I simply removed the animation and the mask, and the shot continued as normal, even though that paper was technically there the whole time. Okay, so let's talk about my head. First things first, I placed a black mug on the ground where I knew my head would be sitting in order to properly track it. For the image of me, I took a static shot of myself lying on the ground on the same spot so as to match the lighting. I then freeze-framed and masked around my head, including the shadow under it separately, and I rotated and tracked it to the mug. The puddle of blood was actual fake blood that I poured on a piece of paper and keyed in because I am not chancing staining that floor. It wasn't my house, so. Oh, there's also rain in the last shot. It was actually raining when we shot that, and raining pretty hard, but it doesn't show up very well on camera, so I threw in some fake rain to make it a little more noticeable. And that's it. A lot of this was fixing or enhancing stuff, but overall, that's needed sometimes when mistakes are made, and I hope you think it looks legit.